This
Good morning
conference will
and good
now be
evening.
recorded.
Good morning and good evening, everyone. So in the last session, we were discussing about BBP phase. We finished discussing about a BBP phase. Today, we'll discuss about the third phase, which is realization phase. Probably final prep. We'll try to finish it up. Today, we'll have a short session. By 8:30, we'll close today. I have a little work to do. So most probably, we should be able to finish by that time. Anyway, right? So once we are done with the BBP phase and we have that BBP document and we know what to do in the system because as is to be has been done. So in the 2B, we know what to do in the system, right? So this is the first time the servers, you will be logging into the servers, you get the access to the servers. So servers are built and you will get the login for the development server so that you could log in and start doing the configurations. So when it comes to the configurations, there are two packages. One is baseline scope and one is final configuration. This is very important interview question. What is baseline scope? I hope I already told you throughout the document, there will be some highlights like this and 99% they are going to be interview questions. So baseline scope and final scope. So what happens in the realization phase, as the name itself tells, like there is something getting materialized. So whenever we do some configuration, we have to save it, right? We have to save the configuration so that it could be transported to the next server, right? So this activity is called as CTS, Change Transport System. So whenever we do some configuration, there will be a transport request number generated. So baseline configuration is as a SD module, we do SD. Like module specific configuration is baseline configuration. Final configuration is integrations between the modules. So in the baseline configuration, we do module specific configuration, and in the final configuration, we do integrations. So whenever we do some configuration, so we have to save it with a meaningful description so that a TRV number will be generated, a transport request number will be generated, and it would be transported to next server. So this is a CTS system. So every business has their own way of how they handle the CTS system. It's not standard that it has to function the same way what we do in every project. Every project has their own way of functioning for this CTS system. So this is a development server where the request is created, then transported to the testing server and quality environment. And once it is tested and it is approved, then move to the production system. So in the interest also, they ask this question like, what is your activity in the transport? In the transport request, what is your activity? So as a functional consultant, what we do when it comes to the transporting request. So there are two kinds of request. One is customizing request and one is workbench request. Customizing request is only for functional consultant, SD, MMPP, FIQM. And workbench request is for technical consultants. Whatever the technical consultants save, that will be saved in the workbench request. So in the interviews also, they ask a question called as what is cross-client? So what is cross-client? All workbench requests are cross-client. Okay, all workbench requests are cross-client. Why all workbench requests are cross-client? That is, in a server, let's say in a dev server, we have a couple of clients, right? In a dev server, we have a couple of clients. Let's say config client. Then we have technical client, that is development client. Then we may have a sandbox or maybe a unit testing client, right? If as a function consultant we save something in the config client, it will be saved within the client. But if a technical client saves something, then if a development, that means if a technical consultant saves something in the technical client or a development client, it will be simultaneously updated in all the clients within the server. It will automatically update within the clients, within the server in all the clients. So that is the reason we call this as cross client. Very important interview question. So what is cross client? All workbench requests are cross clients. So as a function consultant, we are supposed to save it in the customizing request. So this is how the config screen will be popped up whenever we click on the save button, asking to give the request number and what is the description. Because by this request number, we cannot make out anything. So there should be a meaningful description for that. So we give some description. So what is our role here? There are two things again. So in interviews also they ask this question, very important. Here we are using a term called as parent and child, but actually the parent is nothing but called as request, and the task is called as child is called as task. So in interviews they may ask a question, what is the difference between a request and a task? So here they are saying it as parent and child for easy understanding, but it is called as request and a task. One request can hold multiple tasks. Okay, so as a consultant, okay, for consultant one, they may give you one task, consultant two, other task, consultant three, other task. But all the tasks, all the configurations will be saved in the same request and they transport one request, right? So what we do every day, what are the configurations we do? This TR number, what it should be, this all will be decided by the CTS team. And you could see this task under a request, you have a task, right? So what we do end of the day, we take an Excel sheet and we put all the task numbers and the meaningful descriptions for the task, and we send this document to either lead or project manager or maybe directly to the basis consultant, because at only basis consultant administrators can transport this from one server to other server. So we'll send this and we send this to like basis consultant so that they could transport it from one server to other server. Okay, so that is what our role in the transporting request. Maybe let's say if a request is already transported, okay, and you find there is something need to be added or changed, can we take back? Okay, can we take back? Not possible. Once a request is transported, you cannot take it back. Okay, if you want to change something, again you do the configuration and you save it in a new request and transport it so that it will override the existing one. But once a request is transported, we cannot take it back. And one another very important question, later it will come, but we'll just keep in mind, we don't transport number ranges. What is number ranges? We'll learn later. But number ranges, because this is a very frequent question when it comes to the request, can we transport number ranges? It's not possible. We cannot transport number ranges, right? So once the configurations is done and configurations are transported to quality system, then we need to create test case documents. So in the testing, we have two kinds of testing, unit testing and integration testing. There will be also a testing called as regression testing, but we don't use it in the new implementation. So unit testing is module specific testing. Integration testing is all module integration because it's an ERP, right? So it has to perform with integrations. So for this, we need to prepare a test case documents. We have sample test case documents in the drive folder, final docs, whatever I have sent. There is sample test case documents you can refer to. So what to test, how to test, what is the expected result, what is the actual result, whether the test case is passed or not. So there will be a test case document what we give to the testers, because testers don't have config knowledge. They can only follow the process what we mentioned. So they do this, and once the test case is passed, then we transport that to the another server. But within this particular, what we do is we create some documents, because see, you buy a new product. How do you know like how to use that product or what are the best functionalities or features of that product? You need to refer to some user manual, right? So we need to prepare a user manual document so that users can learn how to use the SAP system. Okay, so we have sample user manuals. Every document, whatever I mentioned, that one document will be definitely there in the folder. I'll show you. By any chance, if I miss, if you can also check. Everything, whatever I talk, it is supported with a document. So a user manual, where just like any other user manual, you buy a car, you buy a TV, you buy a fridge, like how the functionalities or features are explained. The same way, we also explain the users, like where to click, what to enter with the screenshots. You see, so what to enter, we take screenshots and where to click, what to click, everything we create a user manual. So user manual is for the users. At the time of training, in the next phase, we hand out these documents to customer so that customer can start using this particular, referring to this document and learn how to use the SAP system. Okay. Then We also create one more document called as config documents. Very important. What is config documents? Let's say who is, as per our scenario, who is the implementation partner for this project? Anyone?
IBM.
IBM, right? Once the implementation is done, and let's assume that this project has handed out to TCS for maintenance, like support project. Let's assume that you are a consultant with, after 5 years, you are a consultant with the TCS and you are handling this project for support. How do you know what configurations they have done at the time of implementation, what business process, what enhancements, what developments has been done for this project at the time of configuration? How do we know that? Right? You need to get some KT, right? So that only then you can start giving support. So for that purpose, we create config documents, just like user manual. User manuals are for the end users. Config documents are for the consultants to understand what went through this project and what all developments, config, everything has been done. We have one set of complete config document. You name a process in SD, we have one set of complete document. You see, every process, every configuration is available. Just like the user manual, this is a user manual for the consultants in the KT to understand how to use the system. You see, just like a user manual, you'll also have screenshot explanation, everything here. Apart from this, we also create some functional specification documents for developments. When I say development, it doesn't mean we are going for enhancement, because forms, you need delivery challan, you need gate pass, you need quotation, you need invoice. This has some format, right? Name, date, place, quantity, price, terms of condition, signature, logo. Who will develop that? ABAPers. How do we communicate to ABAPer? With FS document. So for some developments, we need to contact ABAPer, right? So this is what we do in the realization phase. And what documents we prepare here? User manual document, config document, and functional specification document. Once we are done this particular activities, where is the configurations now? In which server the configurations are? Anyone?
Development server.
Development server.
Now the configurations are in the testing server, because already configurations are transported and testing is also initiated, right? So configuration is in the testing server. So once we are done with all the configurations and testing has been done and all the documents been prepared, we move on to the next phase called as final preparation phase. What we do in the final preparation phase, we start giving training to the users. Very important interview question: to whom you have given training? We don't give training to end users. We give training to core users. Okay, very important. To whom you have given training? We give training to core users. This is a train the trainer concept. Your core user will give training to their end users. There might be 100 end users or 500 end users, doesn't matter. But we give training only to the core user. So whatever the config documents or user manuals we prepared, we hand over that to the core user and we give training for approximately 10 to 15 days. Then the core user will give training to end users. And once the training is completed, we ask for UAT sign-off, user acceptance test, because see, core user has given all the functionalities and whatever they want. But at the end of the day, we have done the testing. Test has been passed. But at the end of the day, who is responsible to say everything is okay, all is done? That is only core user, right? So we ask core user to do UAT testing. We help core user in the process of UAT testing. Very important. In which server core user has done the testing? Okay. In which server core user will do testing? That is in the quality assurance server. In the quality assurance server, there will be one more client called as UAT client. In the UAT client, your core user will do the configurations, right? And core users sometimes they overlook certain things, but please insist your core user to check and every process. Let them check every process. Let them take time and check it. If not, later there will be some issues. So they just go through and the high level they leave it. But insist the core user to test every scenario. Again, this process goes off for a couple of time, and once we got the UAT sign off, I told you, right, how many sign-offs we take? 2 sign-offs. One is a BBP sign-off and the other one is a UAT sign-off. Without sign-off, we are not supposed to proceed further. And once you get the sign-off, then you need to do cutover activities. Cutover activities, because now the configurations are in quality system, right? UAT also is performed in the quality system. Now we need to transfer this configuration from quality to production system. Okay, so now in which server the activity the configurations are? Anyone? Now the configurations are in which server?
Development.
No, why it's a development? We already moved it to testing.
Production.
Testing has been done. Testing has been
Testing,
done.
sir.
Now it is in
Now it
production.
is in
Production.
production.
Right? Quality is also completed. Now production. So once now we have configurations, right? In the production system, we have all the configurations. What more we need to use this server? We need data, customer data, material data, other data. But where is this data? This data is in customers, another system. Such a big company will be using, right? Any non-SAP system, we call it a legacy system. So now the data is in the customer's existing system, whatever it is, non-SAP system. So what is our activity now? We need to bring all this data from legacy system to production system. This activity is called as cutover activities. Okay. So first of all, we need to identify what data to be uploaded or what data we need to get from the legacy system. From SD side, what data we need? We need customer master, material master, price master, and transaction, only open transactions we need, right? So once we finalize this, do we have any tools to do the cutover? Do we have any tools? Yes. There are two tools, LSMW and BDC. Legacy System Migration Workbench, batch data communication. There is nothing like basic and there is nothing like advanced. This question was asked for a 6 years consultant, expand LSMW. For a 6 years consultant, they asked this question. So there is no basics or no advanced, you need to know everything. LSMW and BDC. But now in S4HANA, SAP don't recommend these tools for cutover activity. SAP has come up with two new tools called as LTMC and LTMOM. Legacy Transfer Migration Cockpit, Legacy Transfer Migration Object Modeler. Why SAP has come up with these tools and recommending this? Why can't we use this? Because what we need to do here, and coming to the both LSMW BDC, what is the most preferred method? BDC is the most preferred method. But for BDC, you need a technical help. Without an ABAPer, you cannot do BDC. So we have a complete BDC program documents as well. So why BDC is most preferred and why BDC is most preferred is LSMW will upload data in screen to screen. If in the target screen, if there is something change, a description or something change, system will throw an error. But in BDC, system will directly put the data into database. Doesn't matter whatever is there in the screens. It will directly put the data into the database tables and fields. So the reason this is most preferred one. But when it comes to this particular why SAP is recommending LSMW and LTMC, the reason why SAP is recommending is how do we go with BDC? That is, we need to prepare a BDC program and an Excel sheet we need to prepare. BDC. We need to prepare this. You see, these are two documents related to batch data communication. Later you can just go through. So what happens here is, you see, we need to create an Excel document with headers. This we call it the BDC program. Your ABAPer will write. You see this Excel document with the headers, with the descriptions, field names, character lengths. We create an empty Excel document like this, and we give it to the core user, and we tell core user, get all the data from your legacy system in the same format. So now your core user will download all the data from their existing system into this Excel sheet and give it us so that we could upload that using the tools. But in S4HANA, we don't need to create this particular templates. SAP itself is providing us the templates in XML format. You download it and use it. Okay, so that's the reason SAP tells use but still LSNW and BDC are existing in S4HANA, but we don't use it. We are using only this for cutover activities. So for cutover activities, there will be a lot of activity going on even in the background. That is, first we need to put a blackout period for the cutover activity, and we need to communicate this transition internally to the employees and our prime customers and vendors, telling them our system will not be operated for next 12 hours or whatever the cutover period time is finalized, right? We need to communicate that to the customers and our internal employees also. Because if the systems are not switched off, we don't put a blackout. What happens if still user is creating some order or something in the legacy system? Already data has been taken into the Excel sheet. So this data will never come into the Excel, right? That means this data will never come into the SAP system. So what we do, we put a blackout period and we communicate this transition internally to all the customers and vendors, telling them what's going to happen in the, and we are not able to take any orders or anything for the next couple of hours. There's a cutover strategy document as well. You could just refer to this document. So here you would be seeing what all we do here. We need to have a schedule, ensure no manual transactions are carried out, switch off all the legacy systems and put a blackout period, right? And yeah, so we need to communicate this to all prime vendors and everyone, communicate blackout period to all major vendors and customers, right? And communicate importance of cutover activities internally within the organization to all the employees, right? We have to do this all activity so that there will be a smooth transition from legacy to S4, legacy to SAP system, right? So what is our activity in the cutover? This is what we do. So 3-4 terminologies are important here: cutover strategy, cutover period. Like these are couple of activities we do. Cutover strategy is like when blackout period, transition time, everything. Cutover period, it will not take 2 days. Now it will take less than 12 hours or probably 8 hours, because now what we are doing is we are not dumping all the data. Usually we dump only last 1 year data initially, and let customers start using the system. And then we dump, we will have multiple go lives, maybe 1 go live, 2 go live, 3 go live. Because we cannot stop Reliance business or ICICI Bank business for 12 hours, or we cannot stop them for 24 hours, right? So first we go live with the last 1 year data, which would be most frequently used data. And then we start doing the other data as well, right? So that is what we'll do in the final preparation phase. So now the configurations are in the production system, and the data is also in the production system. This is a live system now, right? So customer can start using SAP system for their day-to-day activities. So we move on to the go live phase. In the go live phase, what we do, we have various support teams will be established. We will be monitoring transactions. We'll have a production support, because any project you take, if we say 9 months, that is 6 plus 3. If we say 18 months, that is 12 plus 6. This is the go live support or post production support, what we call it as. So in the production support, we'll closely monitor the transactions and optimize any performance issues, and we help the customers use the SAP system. If any errors, we'll be fixing them and we'll be educating them. So that is what we do in the go live phase. You don't much face questions on go live, but there are 2 questions you might be facing. There is another application from the SAP called as Solution Manager, or we call it as Solman. If by any chance you mention Solman in the project, in your resume, or in the interview, whatever the company you're going, if they are using Solman, maybe sometimes they ask 2 questions like, what is early watch? Or what is hypercare? These 2 activities we do with Solman at the go live phase. Just Google it, you'll be knowing what is this. But we 99% don't face a question, but any chance if they require Solman, they may ask this question: what is early watch and what is hypercare? Right? So once this go live is done, now we hand over the system to the customer and we start maintenance, because usually you take any project that comes with implementation plus maintenance. Any project it could be. It comes with implementation plus maintenance. 1 year, one implementation plus maybe 3 years maintenance kind of. This is an S/4HANA project, what I'm showing the commercials. You could see here, you see, 3 year post-implementation support. Okay, 3 year post-implementation support. So majority of the projects will be 1 year, one implementation plus 3 years of support, majority projects. So for the next 3 years, we will maintain this project, and then after it's up to the customer whether they want to continue with the same company or they can just give it to the another vendors, right? So this is all about the new implementation project. So tomorrow we'll discuss about support project. As a consultant, what is our roles in the support project? Support project is applicable for S/4HANA as well. Both it is same. There's nothing much of change. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we'll stop a little early today. So we'll stop it here today, and tomorrow we'll start with support project. So now, what do you think? Like, how many questions you should be in a position to answer today in the last couple of 5 sessions? By today, how many questions do you think? Anyone?
Out of 30.
No. I'm just telling. In these 5 sessions, how many questions we would have covered? That is, you should be able to position to answer.
In an interview.
I'm just saying. We have finished 5 sessions, right? So how many questions it would be there for you to answer in these 5 sessions? What are the topic we discussed? That is, you should be in a position to answer at least 60 questions by today. It's hardly 5 sessions, right? In the first 2 sessions are anyway basics. That means we covered these. In these 3 sessions itself, you see, and couple of questions I told you in between, like the UAT client, these are not there even in this document, right? So every day we will be adding lots of content, right? So you should be in a, and we discussed every of this question. What is your team size? How many core users are? How many to whom you give training? How many days you will give training? You see, what is cutover period? Everything we discussed. So you should be in a position to answer 60 questions by today itself, right? So start your preparation, everyone. Early preparation will give a lot of time later so that you could update to some other topics as well. Yeah. So any questions, please go ahead.
BDC full form.
Batch data communication.
LSMW.
Legacy system migration workbench.
Okay.
That question was asked in KPIT Pune for 6 years consultant. Okay. So we'll call it a day today, catch up tomorrow. Any questions, you can make a note. Even we can take up the questions tomorrow before we proceed to the support project. We'll get some time tomorrow. Your support project will not take more than 30-40 minutes. So we'll have some time. Make a note of the questions so we can discuss tomorrow.
Okay.
Right. So we'll call it a day today and catch up tomorrow. Good day, everyone. I have sent documents, videos, everything. So start your preparation, everyone. Good day. Catch up tomorrow. Bye-bye.
This BBP document is not set.
BBP documents. Go ahead, Fatima.
Yeah, business
Hmm.
a blueprint document, no, which is prepared. You said you'll be sharing that format also. That is not shared.
No, I already sent. If you see the email for SDA documents, there is a Google Drive called as Final Docs.
Hmm.
Right? You download that and
Okay.
extract it, and you'll be seeing whatever you're seeing in my screen. You'll see the same thing there.
Okay.
Okay. So here, this particular format, Final Docs.
So your business said yes for HANA and video.
I have sent Pranav. Please check it. I have sent the documents, videos, everything SDS for him. Please check your G drives. Okay. Yeah. So we call it a day today. Catch up tomorrow, and tomorrow we'll continue with the support project overview. Good everyone. Bye bye.